Live from Washington, D.C., this is Straight Talk Africa on the Voice of America. Here's your host, Shaka Saleh.
Hello, you are welcome to Straight Talk Africa, which comes to you live from the Voice of America studios here in Washington. It's 18:30 UTC on Wednesday, February 6. Today, we'll talk about the fundamental root causes of political conflicts in Africa, especially in light of the recent attempted coup in Chad. Joining us here in Studio 51 to walk us through the discussion are two distinguished guests. Mahmoud Adam Bashir, the Chadian ambassador to the United States, and Frederic Ngoga Gateretse, regional manager for Africa at IJAT Intelligent Risk Systems, a leading provider of global intelligence, business resiliency technology, and integrated emergency response services. It's a pleasure having the two of you on Straight Talk Africa.
Pleasure having you too. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Sorry for the logistical difficulties because it took you quite some time before you made it here, but nevertheless you did.
Yes.
You're most welcome. It's a pleasure, of course, meeting you, Frederic, after having perhaps been looking forward really to touching base with you for the last nearly 2 years.
Yeah. Yes, it is a pleasure indeed. Yes.
You're most welcome. Later in the program, we'll give you, the audience, a chance to call and talk with our guests. The number to call is 202-619-3111, and the U.S. country code is 1. Now, when we talk about fundamental root causes of political conflicts in Africa, what immediately comes to your mind? Obviously, you have problems in your country, but it's not that the problems just surfaced. What would you say are the fundamental root causes that help to bring about the sort of conflicts that we seem to be seeing in a lot of countries on the continent?
Well, thank you so much. Generally, as you have said, maybe the world and the viewers know that particularly Africa has suffered of so many conflicts after their independence. And this a lot has to do with the difficulties of the human resources, the experience, and coping also with some of the legacies of the colonial past after their independence. So this can be not all causes, but part of the root causes of the conflicts generally in Africa. As regarding my country, right now, what's happening, it is a direct impact of the 4-year-old conflict of the crisis of Darfur, which we have been witnessing, the whole international community being witnessing the genocide of the citizens, the poor citizens of Darfur, killing children and women, burning houses, and pushing them out to the neighboring countries. And unfortunately, this is not done by a foreign government or a natural cause, but if there's their own government, we should be protecting them, is involved. I think that's the sad part of it.
I realize that you refer to the rebels who are trying to overthrow the government of President Idris Deby as quote-unquote mercenaries. What exactly do you mean by that? Because the last time we checked, these are citizens of your country.
That's the worst part of mercenaries. If you accept to do the bad things and to be part of destabilizing forces and the destructing machine of your own country for the agenda of a foreign nation. And this is obvious, and I can cite and go over, so many examples, and the world international community knows that Sudan is using the groups, they come up themselves, rebel groups, and all the Chadian citizens know that they are mercenaries and they are under full control and manipulation of the regime of Omar al-Bashir.
What do you think triggered this most recent attack by the rebels that you refer to as mercenaries? And did you expect it, in fact?
Well, it is the attack number 9 in less than 2 years. All came from Sudan. They have bases in Sudan. They have all kind of equipments, brand new Toyotas. They don't look like rebel groups, or they don't look like revolutionary forces, as they say.
They look like a conventional army.
They look like a conventional army. They are well dressed with the same, and it wasn't intelligent, unfortunately. The same Sudanese military uniform. You are talking about hundreds of brand new Toyotas. We are talking of machine guns which are mounted on these Toyotas. Every time they come across the border, our security forces push them back. They reorganize themselves. They come with other new machines, and we have shown even that some of the munition they have is from the fabrication of the Sudanese military fabrication company. We have seen IDs. Some of their soldiers are Sudanese, actually. So it is an obvious involvement, and we can see the interest of the Sudan to do so also.
Is it possible that they did have some inside connection, especially in light of the fact that one of the leaders of the rebel group happens to be a nephew of the incumbent president?
Actually, the involvement of the leaders of these groups with the current system in Chad is not only restricted to only one person. Even the others, they have served, even not if they are not nephews of the current president. They have served our cabinet ministers, chief of staffs, their ambassadors, and served for a long period of time. You are taking more than decades, more than 10 years. And it is not something due to something new happen to Chad and people change their positions.
It is not surprising.
But it has to do with manipulation of the regime of Khartoum and also some ambitions, to gain power by illegal ways.
It shouldn't be surprising, especially also given that Mr. Deby himself was basically somebody that was, of course, earlier with President Hissène Habré. He was his commander, and then toppled him, back in 1990. So it looks like...
I think there is a big difference between the regime of Habré and the current regime. And during the Habré period, there were no political parties. Now there are political parties. There are no free press. Now it's free press. There is no way to organize unions or civil organizations. Now they are. You can talk, you can organize, you can strike, you have right for everything. This will have a democratic, this will have first time parliamentary elections, presidential elections. So you have the institutions which are democratically put in place right now. At that time, none of these things existed.
We'll come to that later because, of course, I'll ask you about the fact that Mr. Deby, in fact, did amend the constitution in order to abolish the term limitations so that he can run again, and this is one of the grievances that in fact is being presented by the rebels.